What's up, chess player? Have you ever felt like you were in the deep end and the chessboard is more like a bottom of the ocean than a battlefield? Well, I have been there, and after those countless, incredibly painful defeats, I have discovered a single skill that helps me to overcome all of those obstacles and get to the top. The secret weapon that changed the game entirely for me. Join me on this journey where the losses were not the end but the beginning of the journey to the top. This is the story of a skill that every chess player must possess, the skill that is a true game changer. Curious? Let's dive in. It all begins with this crazy position. I'm playing white, it's round number 5, German Rapid Chess Championship, incredibly important tournament for me. I'm number 10 in the ranking list, but you know me, I never settle for a mediocre result, so I want to win every single game. So here, well, I have been into some trouble. Black is putting a great number of pressure, but I start to overtake the initiative. I play queen to c4, attack the f7 pawn, checkmate, into threat, not possible to ignore. So bishop e6. Now, queen goes to b5 from here. It protects the knight as well as has keeping an eye on this e8 square, which is going to be very, very difficult for black to defend against. So bishop takes b3 has been played. Try to attack this knight, try to get into white's camp here. I played knight to c5, the most active move, attacking the bishop, and I want to bring my knight further to activate it. And of course I have to deal with bishop c4, and that is exactly what black did here, but I have this check. Remember, I want to be the first one to deliver a checkmate. So king goes to h7, and now knight comes into the center of the board, knight e4. So far I'm doing everything perfectly. So here king goes to h6 because, well, knight g5 was a huge threat for black. And now I'm playing h3. Well, there are different options, and h3 is definitely not the best move. In fact, it blunders the entire advantage away. But remember, it's rapid chess. We both have very limited time. I have 1.5 minutes. My opponent has less than 20 seconds, and we get 10 seconds increment for each move. So, well, the best move here, if you're curious, is just to take the bishop, the knight with the bishop. That's exactly what I wanted to do, but then I somehow underestimated the key idea, which is queen to e7. I'm threatening checkmate in one, as surprising as it might seem, and, well, there is basically no way to deal with it. If you go king h7, there is knight g5, I'm taking on f7, and I mean, that's just checkmate. Somehow it was incredibly simple, but I thought I have time for h3. And with the right move, bishop takes e2, well, it's around equal according to the engine. Everything is equal with those incredible kings, but it's rapid chess. So my opponent played rook takes e2. He wants to get to my king as fast as possible, and this move is a total mistake, total blunder. So now I'm once again in the driver's seat. I'm making the right move. I'm taking the knight, pawn takes. And now I have 1.5 minutes, so I have some time to calculate, and I'm trying to find the move. But as the time goes on, I'm diving deep into the variations, and you will never guess what I have played here. I thought, well, bishop takes e2 must be winning, because afterwards queen takes, I can, yeah, basically the simpler thing is just to eliminate this bishop. Queen takes, and then, well, queen e7 once again is completely winning. Queen h4 is a checkmate. King goes away. Knight g5 check. I mean, I have an extra rook here, so that is too much of an advantage. But, and of course, there are a great number of other moves that are completely winning. And I wanted to eliminate all of black pieces, but what I played here is rook takes c4. I mean, you can never imagine such a move. There were a dozen of moves for white which are completely winning, and rook c4 is losing on the spot, because I only thought of him taking it back, then I'm gonna take the rook, and we have more or less the same variation, even the worst version of it. But I completely forgot about the fact that he can just capture my bishop here, and then it's checkmate in a few moves. I cannot do anything at all in this game. And that was the last round of the first day of the championship. It was 2 days in general, 5 rounds on the first day and 4 rounds on the second. I have 2.5 points out of 5, basically no chances at all, except I win all of 4 games on the second day. And the most horrible thing, I don't have another round to play after this incredible game. I really have to go to the hotel and just sleep on this thought that I have spoiled the entire day with this one move. Incredible blunder. I mean, completely unexplainable. And at this point, you just don't want to look at chess. You don't want to prepare for the next day. You just want to quit altogether and get as far away from that horrible place as possible. But it's not what strong chess players are doing. It's not what strong human beings are doing. So I really had to put my shit together to be prepared for the next day and, well, do my best to achieve the best result possible. So the most important skill that every chess player has to have is resilience. It's incredibly important because no matter how strong you are, no matter how much you prepare for a tournament, no matter what happens, you're gonna lose at some point. And it's gonna be incredibly painful. Maybe not as painful as for me here, because you can imagine at international master level, I mean, such a mistake, it could be incredibly devastating. But there is still another day that is going to give you another chance, and before it's too late, before the tournament is finished, you always get this chance to improve the situation. So that's what I decided to do. I mean, I have nothing to lose at all. Either I win all of the 4 rounds and get to the prizes, or I achieve nothing at all. But guess what? After being at the bottom of the ocean, the very next day, I am keeping this thing in my hands for sharing the first prize at the German Chess Championship. I'm the third one because, well, I have been from the bottom, but still, that was an amazing achievement. I have won all of the 4 games in a row on that day, and of course, I want to share it with you. In the first round, it was a crazy Sicilian defense, and here I decided to go all in and attack my opponent e4 to just get to his king. I want to create some threats. So takes, king to g2, and now knight e5. That is a devastating move for white because bishop g4 is a huge and basically unstoppable threat because, well, if you play h3, I'm gonna proceed attacking it. That's gonna be too much to handle. My opponent played rook f1, but then bishop goes to g4, and basically there is no way to stop this horrible attack. Rook f8, I'm trying to connect as many pieces as possible to activate as many of them as possible. That is what you need for a successful attack. Bishop f4, and now just knight d3 with another fork, and notice that this bishop is attacking as well. Queen goes to e3, bishop f3 to block the rook and activate yet another piece with a check. King went back, and now takes, and, well, there is nothing white can do. After queen g5, white resigned here. So that is the first victory on my way. Second round, I have an incredibly difficult position to handle. So according to the engine, it's equal, but of course I'm only playing for win. So I played here knight e5, and my idea is that if black is not exchanging the knight, then the knight is incredibly powerful here on e5. He did exchange it, but then I'm taking it with f-pawn. That gives me a chance to sneak with my queen into black's camp and attack there. So what happened is king to g6, I'm taking here on a3, and I'm sacrificing the pawn on e3, which is impossible to take, but for some reason my opponent took it. Remember, it's rapid chess, so it's very difficult to find all of those tricks with limited time on the clock and with an incredible pressure on you. So rook takes e3 has been played. Now queen f4 with a double attack, rook has to go somewhere, and then queen to g5, takes, and then I take on c6 to open up the rook to activate the second piece, and now the checkmate is unstoppable. The rook is coming, takes, another check, king g2, and after queen f6, my opponent resigned here after rook g7 because checkmate is unstoppable. The second to last round, I'm having an incredibly tough battle. I'm fighting as black here. You can see that white has a pair of passers and black has a pair of passers, but white is much more active and the first one to promote if done correctly. So here after g3, there is one pawn move that is completely winning for white, another one completely losing. So feel free to pause the video for a second here and find it, because it's a crazy one, and that is what separates a huge success, a huge victory, and a great failure. So the move that is completely winning is e7 here, because white is threatening to promote the queen, and basically there is nothing at all what black can do with it. Because if you take it here with a knight, then just d takes e and the pawn is still about to promote, and there is absolutely nothing you can do with it because the pawn is protected. Well, king f7 doesn't make any sense because e8 queen is just a check, it's protected by the knight, and my idea was to play knight f4 so that after e8 check I have this move g2, king goes away, and then knight to h3 check, I'm promoting my queen, every move happens with a check and I'm giving a checkmate. One little problem with all that is that instead of promoting the queen immediately, the opponent has this knight d5 Zwischenzug, and then I have no chances at all because, well, if I take it, then e8, and unfortunately this e3 square is covered, so I don't get to give any checks, otherwise I'm just busted here. And if I go away with a king, then the knight just takes and white has an extra piece, and those pawns are just about to promote. But instead, in a total time trouble, my opponent pushed another pawn, d1, and it seems like, well, the difference is not that big because the pawn is still about to promote with a check. That is very dangerous. But in fact, the difference is huge because this position is completely winning for black. I just step away with a king, now my bishop is controlling the entire diagonal, and you don't have time for something like e7 because I have g2 check, king goes to g1, and now once again knight f4 with the same idea, which is absolutely unstoppable. And there are no checks for my king, that is what makes a difference. So with 1 round to go, I still have some chances, but I absolutely have to win the game. And the problem with that is that I am facing the top-rated, one of the strongest chess grandmasters in Germany, Daniel Friedman. And in this video, you can see this fantastic battle. I absolutely crushed him. And of course, I go through the entire game and share so many valuable tips with you. So I encourage you to take a look at it.